Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I will say rejoice. Greetings to you all in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Conservation of momentum. In physics, conservation means no change. That means no change in momentum. Momentum does not change or the momentum remains constant over time. Conservation of momentum is mostly used to describe the collision between the objects. Now, let us consider two balls. The ball A has a mass ma and the ball B has a mass mb. Both the balls moves along a straight line with the initial velocity ua and ub. When both the balls hit together, that is, when they collide each other, the ball A exerts a force on ball B, that is Fa. Just like that, the ball B exerts a force on the ball A, on that yellow color ball, that is Fb. Now, after collision, the two balls moves with the final velocity, that is Va and Vb. Now, let us try to derive the equation for law of conservation of momentum. In the case of ball A, the ball A moves with the initial velocity u1 before collision. So, we can write the formula initial momentum before collision as ma into ua. Now, the ball moves with the final velocity after collision. The formula can be written as ma into va. Now you know the formula for change in momentum, which I have already taught. That is final momentum minus initial momentum. Ma Va minus Ma Ua. Since Ma is common, you take the Ma out and inside the bracket you write Va minus Ua. According to the second law of motion, the force is directly proportional to the rate of change of momentum. In the case of ball A, let us write the formula using this. Fa is equal to, you know the formula for change in momentum, so you have to write Ma bracket Va minus Ua divided by T. Since it is given as rate of change of momentum, you are writing T in the denominator. Now, in the case of ball B, the ball B moves with the initial velocity ub. Now, let us write the formula initial momentum before collision mb into ub. Now, let us write the momentum formula for the ball with final velocity, that is mb into vb. Now, change in momentum, you know that how to write, that is final momentum minus initial momentum. So, mb vb minus mb ub. Since mb is common, you take the m outside and you write vb minus ub. According to the second law of motion, the force is proportional to the rate of change of momentum. So, using this, we can write a formula. Fb is equal to change in momentum. What is that? mb bb minus mb ub divided by T. The two balls hit together. Here comes the Newton's third law of motion. We know that Newton's third law of motion states that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. That means the ball A exerts a force on ball B and at the same time the ball B exerts an equal force on ball A. So we can write it as F FA is equal to minus FB, where the minus sign indicates the opposite direction. Now you can substitute the value for FA and FB given in this bracket. The value for FA is MA bracket VA minus UA divided by T is equal to minus of MB bracket VB minus UB divided by T. T is common on both the sides, so you can cancel it out. So the equation becomes like this if you remove the bracket and multiply inside. MA VA minus MA UA is equal to minus MB VB plus MB UB. Now you bring that MB VB minus MB VB to the right side, and just minus MA UA will go to on the next side. MA VA is the final momentum of ball A. MB VB is the final momentum of ball B. If we add these two, we will get the total momentum after collision. Now on the other side, MAUA is the initial momentum of ball A and MBUB is the initial momentum of ball B. If we add these two, we will get the total momentum before collision. So from this we can understand total momentum after collision is equal to total momentum before collision. So this can be written as the total momentum of the system remains unchanged or conserved provided no other external force acts on the system. So rocket propulsion. Propulsion of rockets is based on the law of conservation of linear momentum as well as Newton's third law of motion. Here you can see a rocket. Rockets are filled with a fuel, either liquid or a solid, in the propellant tank. When the rocket is fired, this fuel is burnt and a hot gas is ejected with a high speed from the nozzle of the rocket, producing a huge momentum. To balance this momentum, an equal and opposite reaction is produced in the combustion chamber, which makes a rocket project forward. While in motion, that is when the rocket moves, the mass of the rocket gradually decreases until the fuel is completely burnt out. Since there is no external force acting on it, the linear momentum of the system is conserved. The mass of the rocket decreases with altitude, which results in the gradual increase in the velocity of the rocket. At one stage, it reaches a velocity which is sufficient to escape from the gravitational pull of the earth. This velocity is called the velocity which is sufficient to just escape from the gravitational pull of the earth is called escape velocity. Force and acceleration due to gravity. Earth's gravitational force. Every object in the universe attracts every other object with a force called gravitational force. The value of this force is calculated by the equation F is equal to G m1 into m2 divided by r square, where G is a gravitational constant having the value G is equal to 6.67 into 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram square. M1 and M2 are the masses of the two objects and R is the distance between them. Thus, gravitational force is directly proportional to the product of the masses of the two objects and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. It is a vector quantity, that is, it has magnitude as well direction. The direction of this force is towards the center of the mass of the object. The center of mass of the object is a point at which whole mass of the body is said to be concentrated. Earth also attracts all the objects with the gravitational force. We call it as Earth gravitational force. Since the gravitational force is directed towards the center of mass of the object, therefore, Earth's gravitational force is directed towards the center of mass. Since Earth is assumed to be spherical, therefore, center of mass of the Earth lies at its geometrical center. This force pulls all the objects towards the center. This is the reason why object falls on Earth in vertically downward direction. Acceleration due to gravity G. If Earth attracts an object towards itself, then that object also attracts the Earth towards itself with equal force. This means that Earth and the object both should move towards each other. But we always see that object move towards the Earth. We never see Earth moving towards the object. Why is it so? According to Newton's second law, the force acting on a body results in change in its speed, which is called acceleration. This acceleration is given by force divided by mass. A is equal to F divided by m. In case of gravitation, the acceleration of object with smaller mass will be greater as compared to the acceleration of object with higher mass. It is because the answer of F divided by m will be greater than smaller mass. That means the object moves towards each other with different acceleration. Since mass of the Earth is greater than the mass of the object, the gravitational force results in negligible acceleration. Thus, it appears that the Earth is at rest and the object is moving towards the Earth. Here we are introduced a new term, acceleration due to gravity, small g. It is defined as acceleration produced in a body as a result of the gravitational force acting on it. It is also a vector quantity which directed towards the center of the mass of the body. Let's calculate the value of acceleration due to gravity at the surface of Earth. This is the equation for gravitational force, where capital M is the mass of the Earth, whose value is 6 into 10 to the power 24 kilogram. Small m is the mass of the object placed at the surface, and r is the distance of object from the center of Earth, that is radius of Earth. It is equal to 6.4 into 10 to the power 6 meter. If g is the acceleration due to gravity, then F is equal to mg, that is mass into acceleration due to gravity. This is the second equation. If you substitute F in the first equation, that is gravitational force, then you would write g is equal to, that is mg is equal to g m into m divided by r square. Since m is common for both the side, right side and the left side, you should cancel the small m, then you will get g is equal to g m by r square, and which gives the value 9.77 meter per second square. Mass and weight. In this, we are going to learn about the difference between mass and weight. What is mass? Mass is the amount of matter present in a body. For example, if we have 2 cups, let this cup has 2 kg sugar and this cup has 4 kg sugar. We know that 4 kg is greater than 2 kg. Or you can say the amount of sugar in this cup 2 kg and the amount of sugar in this cup is 4 kg. So the amount of sugar in 4 kg cup is greater than the amount of sugar in 2 kg cup. In physics, we can say sugar is a matter because sugar occupies some space in the cup and has some sort of mass. Thus, sugar is a matter. Therefore, you can say that amount of sugar or the amount of matter in this 4 kg cup is greater than the amount of sugar or the amount of matter in this 2 kg cup. The SI unit of mass is kilogram and it is measured by electronic balance. Mass is constant everywhere. For example, mass of Tom is 60 kg on the earth, and then if you send him to the moon through satellite, here on the moon the mass of Tom would be again 60 kg. Also remember that mass is a scalar quantity. I mean 60 kg has only magnitude or size with suitable unit kg. Here kg has no proper direction. That's why we call mass is a scalar quantity. We can't say 60 kg mass in downward or in upward direction. Now what is weight? First remember, weight is the force of the earth due to which object fall towards the earth. For example, if you release an object at a certain height above the earth, the object falls or accelerates towards the earth. You may be wondering why object falls towards the earth. This is due to the force between the object and the earth. In physics, this downward force on object due to earth is known as weight. Now here let me ask one question. Why heavy objects fall fast than light objects towards the earth? In order to understand this, you have to look into Newton's second law of motion, which is F is equal to ma. Now let's consider two objects. The mass of the heavy object is m1 and the mass of the light object is m2. The force or the weight between the heavy object and the earth is W1, while the force or the weight between the light object and the earth is W2. Here Newton's second law is F is equal to ma. It means if you exert force on m, then mass m will accelerate with air in the direction of force. Thus heavy or light object accelerate towards the earth due to force or weight W. So here instead of F we can write W. We also know that in the absence of air, all the bodies fall towards the earth with a gravitational acceleration g, which is equal to 9.8 meter per second square. Around we can write 10 meter per second square. In Newton's second law, instead of A, we will put G. So weight on the heavy object is W1 is equal to M1 into G, and weight on the light object is W2 is equal to M into G. We know that here G is the constant, and also so here W1 is directly proportional to M1 and here W2 is directly proportional to M2. Hence a force on the earth or the weight depends on the masses of the object. That's why heavy object falls fast towards the earth than the light object. Remember that weight is a force and hence its SI unit is Newton and it is also a vector quantity. Now let us learn about the apparent weight. The weight that you feel to possess during up and down motion is not same as your actual weight. Actually, apparent weight is the weight of the body acquired due to the action of gravity and other external force acting on the body. Let us see just from the following illustration. Let us consider a person of mass m who is traveling in lift. The actual weight of the person is W is equal to mg, which is acting vertically downwards. The reaction force exerted by the lift surface R, taken as the apparent weight, is acting vertically upward. Let us see different possibilities of the apparent weight R of the person that arise depending on the motion of the lift upwards or downwards. So, in this figure, you can see two forces acting on this man standing inside the lift. One force is W, that is weight, and another force, an equal force, is acting in the opposite direction, that is a normal reaction direction and normal reaction force, and that force is represented by the letter R. Now let us consider the first case. Lift is moving upward with an acceleration A. I already told that whenever object moves, it produces an acceleration. So here the lift is moving upward and that acceleration is called A. And from the Newton's second law, we know that F is equal to ma. That is, force is equal to mass into acceleration. So here two forces are acting, as I said earlier. W, that is a gravitational force, and another one is R, normal reaction force. Here, since the lift is going upward, the normal reaction force, that is R, must be greater than W. So you have to write R minus W is equal to ma. If you see here, the R, the normal reaction force, is acting upward direction, and since it is greater than the W, it's moving upward. So you have to write R minus W is equal to ma. And you know that W is equal to mg. We have studied in the last video. So you have to substitute the value R minus mg in the place of W is equal to ma. Now you have to write R is equal to mg. That mg should take the mg to the other side. So you have to write R is equal to mg plus ma. And here the apparent weight is greater than the actual weight. Suppose if your weight is 50 kg or 50 kg, when that is your actual weight, when you are in the lift and if you go up, your weight will be greater than your actual weight. Now let us consider the case 2. Here the lift is moving downward with an acceleration A. As usual, when the object moves, it produces acceleration, that is A here. So from Newton's second law, the force acting on the man, that is F, is equal to m into A. Here, since the lift comes down, the weight, that is the gravitational force, is greater than that of the reaction force R. So that only it is moving downward. So here you have to subtract the reaction force from the weight, that is W minus R is equal to ma. And in the place of W, you know that W is equal to mg. So you have to substitute mg minus R is equal to F is equal to ma. So you have to take the R to the next side. So it will become positive and ma to this side. So the equation becomes mg minus ma is equal to R. So you can write R is equal to mg minus ma. Since the weight, the gravitational force is greater than the reaction force R, the apparent weight is lesser than the actual weight. In the first case, the apparent weight is greater than the actual weight. Here, the apparent weight is lesser than the actual weight. Now, let us consider the third case, lift is at rest. So here, since the body is at rest, there will be no acceleration. So A is equal to 0. So from Newton's second law, you know that F is equal to ma. Since the weight is greater than the R, you have to write W minus R is equal to ma, and you know that A is equal to 0. You substitute 0 there. So mg minus R is equal to 0. Now R is equal to, if you take the mg to the other side, R is equal to mg. Now mg is nothing but W, so R is equal to W. That is, reaction force is equal to the gravitational force. So here the apparent weight is equal to the actual weight. When the lift goes up, the apparent weight will be greater than the actual weight. When the lift comes down, the apparent weight will be less than the actual weight. When the lift is at rest, the apparent weight is equal to the actual weight. Now let us consider the third case, that is weightlessness. So here, in this weightlessness, see this figure. Here, when the body comes down, that acceleration will be equal to the acceleration due to gravity. When the body moves, it produces acceleration. So sometimes that acceleration will be equal to the acceleration due to gravity. That is, A is equal to G. So from Newton's second law, can write F is equal to ma, and since the body is coming down, obviously the weight W will be greater than the R. So you have to write W minus R is equal to ma, and instead of W you have to substitute mg minus R is equal to ma, and you have to take the R to the next side and you have to write mg minus ma is equal to R. So R is equal to mg minus ma. And instead of ma, you can substitute the mg also. So R is equal to mg minus mg, you will get 0. So here the apparent weight is equal to weightlessness. Weightlessness may be defined as a state in which a body loses its weight due to free fall. Let a stone be suspended from a spring balance suspended by a hand finger. The balance shows the actual weight of the stone. When the balance is released from hand finger, the balance falls freely with the hanging stone piece. The balance shows a 0 reading. This proves that the freely falling stone has become weightless. Weightlessness of an astronaut in a satellite. A satellite is a freely falling body orbiting around the Earth. It tries to reach the Earth, but its path being parallel to Earth's surface, it does not reach the Earth. Hence, the satellite and all bodies inside it become weightless. The last topic in your lesson is application of Newton's law of gravitation. The first point, dimension of the heavenly bodies can be measured using the gravitational law. So like mass of the earth, radius of the earth, acceleration due to gravity, and sometimes the mass of the stars, etc. can be calculated with a higher accuracy. And second thing, it helps in discovering, scientists uses this law to find the new stars and planets, helps in discovering new stars and planets. And third point, one of the irregularities in the motion of the stars. Actually, if the stars, some stars will not be in the proper motion, it will shake, and that movement is called the wobble. So when it shake like this, when the motion is irregular, then what it will do, it will disturb the other planets near to it. So in that condition, we need to calculate the mass of the star, and using this law we can calculate that one. One of the irregularities in the motion of the stars is called wobble, lead to the disturbance in the motion of a planet nearby. So in this condition, the mass of the star can be calculated using the law of gravitation. And fourth point, helps to explain germination of roots is due to the property of geotropism, which is a property of a root responding to the gravity. We know that root always grows downward. due to the gravity. So this law helps to explain the germination of fruits. And fifth one, it helps to predict the path of the astronomical bodies. So we have completed the first lesson.